Right now, a thought is moving through your mind. You may be thinking about these words, about something that happened today, or about something that has not yet happened. The thought appears, stays for a moment, and then disappears. Another thought takes its place. Then another. The mind seems to move endlessly, creating memories, imagining futures, judging the present, remembering the past, and constantly telling you a story about who you are. But have you ever stopped and asked a very simple question? Who is watching all of these thoughts? You know when you are thinking. You know when you are happy, when you are afraid, when you are angry, and when you are peaceful. You can notice that your mind is restless, and you can notice when it becomes quiet. If you can observe the movement of the mind, then perhaps you are not simply the movement of the mind. This question is at the heart of one of the deepest spiritual inquiries of India. The ancient sages of the Upanishads were not satisfied with merely understanding the world outside. They wanted to discover the one who experiences the world. They asked, "Who am I beneath my name, my body, my memories, my personality, and my thoughts?" Most of us answer this question without examining it. We say, "I am this person. I have this name, this body, this family, this history, these beliefs, these desires, and these fears." But every one of these things changes. The body of your childhood is gone. Your thoughts have changed. Your opinions have changed. Your desires have changed. Even your personality may be very different from what it was years ago. Yet through all of these changes, there has remained a simple feeling of being. I am. Something has silently witnessed the entire journey. It was present when you were young, present through your joys and disappointments, present when you dreamed, and present when you woke again. What is this presence? Advaita Vedanta calls it the witness, the Sakshi, the awareness in which every experience appears. Imagine sitting beside a road and watching vehicles pass by. One car appears, moves in front of you, and disappears. Another comes, and then another. You do not become each car simply because you see it. You remain where you are while they come and go. Thoughts are similar. A thought appears in awareness, remains for a moment, and disappears. Then another appears. An emotion rises, remains for some time, and eventually changes. A memory comes from the past and then fades. Yet awareness remains present through all of them. The problem begins when we forget the witness and become completely absorbed in what is being witnessed. We do not simply experience anger. We say, "I am angry." We do not simply experience fear. We say, "I am afraid." We do not simply experience sadness. We say, "I am sad." Slowly, an experience becomes an identity. But if anger can be observed, then anger is something being experienced. If sadness can be observed, then sadness is something being experienced. If a thought can be observed, then that thought is something being experienced. The question then becomes, what is the one that knows the experience? This does not mean that emotions are unreal or that we should suppress them. Quite the opposite. When you recognize an emotion as an experience rather than your entire identity, you can allow it to be felt without being completely imprisoned by it. Fear can arise, but you can notice fear. Anger can arise, but you can notice anger. A painful memory can arise, but you can notice the memory. You do not need to fight every thought. You can simply observe it. This is why self-inquiry is so powerful. Ramana Maharshi directed seekers toward the question, "Who am I?" He did not mean that you should create an intellectual answer. He wanted attention to turn toward the source of the I thought itself. Before you say, "I am a student," "I am successful," "I am unsuccessful," "I am happy," or "I am afraid," there's simply the feeling of I am. What is this I? Where does it arise? Where does it disappear? When you wake in the morning, before remembering all your responsibilities, there is first the simple recognition that you are. Then the mind begins rebuilding your familiar identity. My name is this. I have these responsibilities. I need to do these things. I have these problems. But awareness itself does not need to tell the story in order to exist. The story comes and goes within awareness. The Mandukya Upanishad gives another powerful clue by examining waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. In waking, an entire world appears. In dreaming, another world appears within the mind. In deep sleep, both worlds disappear from ordinary experience. Yet when you awaken, you say that you are awake, that you dreamed, and that you slept. The states change, but there is continuity through which they are known. This is why the sages were so interested in consciousness. They wanted to discover whether our deepest identity could really be something that constantly changes. If the body changes, the mind changes, thoughts change, emotions change, and experiences change, perhaps the self is not any of these changing things. Perhaps the self is the awareness in which all of them appear. Think of the sky. Clouds can be bright or dark. They can move quickly or slowly. Some bring rain, while others disappear without leaving anything behind. But the sky does not become permanently changed by every cloud that passes through it. In the same way, thoughts are like clouds moving through awareness. Some thoughts are beautiful, some are disturbing, some are completely meaningless. But awareness does not need to become every thought. This is why meditation does not have to mean forcing the mind to become empty. You can simply sit and watch. A thought appears, let it appear. A thought disappears, let it disappear. If the mind becomes restless, notice the restlessness. If it becomes peaceful, notice the peace. You are not trying to manufacture a special experience. You are learning to recognize the awareness that is already present through every experience. Eventually, you may notice something very subtle. You cannot actually find awareness as an object. You can see your body, but you cannot see awareness in the same way. You can observe a thought, but awareness is that through which the thought is known. You can observe an emotion, but awareness knows the emotion. This is why the Upanishadic tradition often uses the teaching of neti-neti. Not this, not this. It does not mean that nothing exists. It means that whatever you can observe as an object cannot be the final definition of the self. The body is observed. Thoughts are observed. Memories are observed. Emotions are observed. Even your changing personality can be observed. So what remains when all of these are recognized as changing? Do not rush to answer. Simply notice. There is awareness right now. You do not need to create it. You do not need to search for it somewhere far away. It is already present as the simple fact that this moment is being known. Perhaps this is why the sages described spiritual awakening as recognition rather than achievement. You do not create the self through meditation. You remove the misunderstanding that hides it. The classic rope and snake example points toward the same idea. In dim light, a rope is mistaken for a snake. Fear arises, even though the snake never existed. When light reveals the rope, the snake does not have to be destroyed. It simply disappears as a misunderstanding. In the same way, perhaps the deepest problem is not that we lack our true nature, but that we have mistaken ourselves for something temporary. We have mistaken the body for the self, thoughts for the self, emotions for the self, and the personal story for the self. The moment we begin observing these things rather than unconsciously becoming them, a little space appears. And within that space, there can be peace. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because we no longer demand that every changing experience give us permanent security. The mind can continue to move while you remain aware of its movement. Life can continue to change while you recognize the awareness in which change appears. You can love people deeply without believing that their presence must remain forever. You can experience success without making it the foundation of your identity. You can experience failure without believing that failure defines your existence. You can feel sorrow without becoming sorrow. You can feel fear without becoming fear. This is not an escape from life. It is a different way of living within life. So the next time a thought appears, pause before following it. Notice the thought. Then ask quietly, who knows this thought? Do not search for a verbal answer. Let the question turn your attention toward the one who is aware. Another thought may appear. Watch that too. Perhaps eventually there will be a brief moment when the mind becomes quiet. Do not try to hold that silence. Simply notice that even silence is known. Thoughts come and go. Silence comes and goes. Experiences come and go. But the simple awareness of them remains. Perhaps the greatest spiritual discovery is not finding something new, but recognizing something that has never been absent. The witness was present before this thought appeared, while the thought was present, and after it disappeared. It has silently accompanied every chapter of your life. And perhaps, when you stop searching outside yourself for what can only be discovered through direct self-inquiry, you begin to understand the ancient teaching in a completely different way. You are not merely the thoughts passing through your mind. You are the awareness in which those thoughts are known. You are not merely the changing story of your life. You are that in which the story appears. The journey is not toward becoming someone else. It is toward seeing clearly what you have always been. So for a moment, let the mind be exactly as it is. Let thoughts come. Let them go. Let the body be still or move naturally. Let sounds arise and disappear. There is nothing you need to force. Simply notice. Something is aware of all of this. And perhaps that simple recognition is where the journey inward truly begins.